Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm host for today's broadcast in St. Layer 13 as we are preparing to get underway here for the 12th and final stint for TORA's 24-hour of Daytona Sea Lobby. I did the first 6 stints of broadcasting last night and then had to be basically called in on emergency to cover an entire full-length NASCAR race as well. So my voice is just about completely cooked at the moment. So this is going to be a lot more low tier right now. Not going to be nearly as energetic because unexpectedly doing 15 hours of streaming last night or yesterday was not a good idea. I should have said no, I could not cover that NASCAR race. I do regret that. So this is going to be much less intense than normal. I'm going to try my best to keep an eye on what is going on circuit. Real quick look down at the drivers who are going to be running. Alright. So we are under a bit of a holding pattern right now. Waiting for our 2 drivers to ready up. 1 prototype, 1 GT driver. Looks like we are currently set up to have 15 people running. We may be short a driver or 2. So we may be starting just a little bit late here. Yeah, we might only have 15 people here. So that means that traffic's not going to be too much of an issue. Somehow, though, we've primarily just lost prototype entries. We still have most of our GT entries from the start. For those of you who don't remember, we had been running with 18 people before. We had 6 GTOs and 12 prototypes. Okay, now we bumped up to 16, so we are still one shy. Looks like going to be one short in both categories here. I imagine we're going to get underway momentarily here. Alright, it looks like we're only short one GTO entry right now, so we should be able to get underway here in just a bit. We still have all 12 of our prototypes still running somehow. Alright, here we are, about to start ordering this grid up. At the head of the field is somehow the Mercedes of Figgy Boy, followed by the 8th by our Mazda entry, and DMS Idol that team's been on a recovery drive. PM1 Doyle, who won Stint 6 earlier. He's back. Oh, okay. Calco has actually brought the Porsche back up to 3rd. That's interesting. DMS Idol is in 4th. PM1 Doyle will be starting 5th. AMS Beast will be in 6th position. 7th will be AFZ All Carbon. 8th will be AFMG Saki. 9th will be Pop Leopard. 10th will be Leechard. 11th, Richard Crook. And 12th will be Zellum. And the bottom category is TBR Mechone, who will be leading, followed by BFL Striker, then DMS Hunter, then LMP Dragon, then BFL Ranger. So the Audi that had won 3 stints in the first half of the event has apparently withdrawn. So this should be an easy walk-off for Mechone to bring the victory home for his team, even if he might not be anywhere near the actual front of the grid. Alright, here we are. Tire field begins to roll. It will be single file until they get about halfway between the first hairpin and the high-speed bend in the infield. So Figgy Boy in the Boys Entry, leading over HYR, Iris, the HYR team. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 positions. You'll be able to hear them going before you'll see them. And they are off here at Daytona. Just about nose to tail are our 2 leaders. Here come our DT field, or what's left of it. But Figgy Boy leads over HYR Iris. These 2 trying to pull away from the rest of the field a bit. Alright, now for Figgy Boy, it's going to be really important. He needs to nail this corner exit and try to get away from Iris as fast as possible. Now we're back in the daytime circumstances. Tires will be up to temperature a lot easier, and heat's not really going to be as much of a problem for these drivers for keeping their tires warm and grippy. Calco completely has fallen off the rear of these top 2, so it's just Figgy Boy and Iris here at the head of the grid. Big run by Iris coming out of the bus stop chicane, so he's going to get... Excuse me. Iris is going to get a massive drop on Fig all the way around here. On the high side. Iris looking to get around Fig. They both make contact, and a little bit of hip checking knocks Iris off circuit a bit. Now Calco is there, so is AMS Beast. Calco will fall behind Beast and very nearly spins himself off of idle. Beast is going to go ahead and get by Iris now. Side by side for third, side by side for second, and side by side for fourth. So Beast has now cleared Iris. And now he's going to try and set his sights on Figgy Boy. So it's still one of the... Oh! DMS Idol ships Iris way off the line, coming into Speedway Turn 1. And now these 2 are still side by side, but the Jaguar is going to have a superior top end. The Porsche of Calco is just a little bit behind this group. Will he try and make a move? He is not going to push the issue. He'll fall back in line behind. As they come out of the bus stop chicane, no one in this pack really seems to be super happy right now. Now, here we go. Calco coming to the outside of DMS Idol. He's got him, and now Calco will pull up alongside. That Mazda easily clears him by the time they get to the start-finish line. Calco puts his Porsche back up into the 3rd position. And immediately misses the braking zone for turn 1. Meanwhile, AMS Beast has now caught Figgy Boy. So Beast is in the middle of one heck of a comeback run. Didn't start right near the front, but he is rushing back up the grid now. Looking to the inside of Fig. And that is AFZ All Carbon, I believe, who has gone off back there in the hairpin. And we have lost DMS Idol. We'll try to reach out to Idol, see if he has anything he wants to say here. But at the front, AMS Beast has overtaken Figgy Boy. So now we're down to just 11 prototypes. Mind you, that DMS entry was one of our top 4 runners, but that will be another lobby with an absolute atrocious result for them. Calco has been shunted down to the 6th position. Beast taking over the lead here. As they fire it off down to turn 1 once again. Looks like Beast has absolutely taken control of this race now. HYR Iris has recovered a bit, is back to 3rd. He's got PM1 Doyle behind him now. I can tell I'm tired because I can't tell any of these cars apart. They all look the exact same to me. I can't tell the cars apart by their body shape or their noise. The only one I know is different is that Calco is in a Porsche and Fig is in a Mercedes. But like, I look at Beast and Figgy Boy at the front, they look like they're the same bloody car. Meanwhile, in the bottom category is BFL Striker and the Texaco Machine, who is leading by a moderate amount over BFL Ranger 84. After that is DMS Hunter 21, then TBR McConey, and LMP Dragon. Now this was the entry that had won 3 stints in the first 3 of the first 6 stints before. So I was wrong. Both of our top contenders are still in it, but Dragon's entry does not seem to be in a fantastic position right now. So Beast running away from the rest of the field real quickly. Let's look at their tire life right now. 30 is their most worn tire at the moment. I look at Figgy Boy, who runs in 2nd. 20, so he has got much harder tires on right now. HYR Iris in 3rd position is also at 20, so another driver with very hard tires at the moment. 4th place is PM1 Doyle, not even hit 20%, so very hard tires there. And then Richard E. Crook has put himself up into the 5th position, 21% on the most worn tire for him. So Beast is in position to pit very early, but everyone else will likely be staying out for a bit. This here is Calco. This was the Porsche that won back in Stint 1, had another podium result in Stint 6. But is really struggling with those harder tires right now in the 12th and final stint of the event. Real quickly, just because I know people will ask, let's look at the tire life of our drivers in the bottom category. 21.4 is the most worn tire there for Striker. For Ranger, who runs in 2nd, his most worn tire is 21.4. DMS Hunter, he's at 18.9. Then you have TBR McConey, 18.7. And LMP Dragon, 22.9, but most notably, he has a lot more fuel than the other drivers. Is Dragon going to try and do the 3-stop strategy? Meanwhile, Figgy Boy has been caught by HYR Iris. So it seems to me that the Mazdas are really coming to life as we're spending more and more time on these harder tires now. The Mazdas get a distinct advantage. They are a lot slower, especially in a straight line, and they have a lot more natural handling. So these harder tires don't really make things too much more difficult for them to run. Iris putting the Mercedes of Figgy Boy under pressure now as they come off of the banked Speedway Turn 2. On the run down to the bus stop chicane. No big moves this time. But Figgy Boy has a really bad twitch coming out of the bus stop chicane. And now Iris trying to wrap it around the outside. The Mazda doesn't have the top end, so that move's not going to work. But if Iris can be on the outside of Figgy Boy going into the braking zone of turn 1, he might be able to try and outbrake the Mercedes. That's exactly what he's going to do. He goes deep and will complete the overtake, no problem. So I believe this makes it Mazda 1-2 now. Mazda's run first, second, and fourth at the moment. And the thing's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. How much longer is Beast going to be able to stay out? He's already at the 47.3% mark when it comes to tire life. So I imagine he may not pit at the end of this lap, but next lap he'll probably have to jump into pit lane. But he is about to start catching traffic in the bottom category. BFL duo have absolutely stretched their legs away from Hunter, Makone, and Dragon in the GTO class. They'll easily clear Dragon, no issue there whatsoever. Held up a bit there by Makone. They'll shoot to the outside, rim right it, and he's good. Figgy Boy gets back by Iris as Iris was held up there going through the bus stop chicane. Iris will close back in, significantly under braking here. Especially as Figgy Boy has to deal with traffic that is that Audi. Still side by side between that Audi and the prototype. Now, Fig gets by, Iris gets by. They're both held up by Beast. Beast has been held up significantly by traffic. All of a sudden, first, second, third, all on top of each other once again. Beast is on very worn tires. Sorry, that is not Beast. I am so tired I can't even keep these drivers straight. I do apologize. And it's Figgy Boy. So Iris right on top of Figgy Boy as they come back onto Speedway turns 1 and 2. Still nose to tail. The Mazda has a good run in the draft. You're going to try and be side by side with the Merc. The Merc's going to leave the inside line open for the Mazda. Mazda shoots to the inside, and the Merc slides a little bit wide. Power down out of the turn 1 hairpin, and Iris slides the car. Power slides it right in front of Figgy Boy. More than anything else, I am impressed that Beast did not pit at the end of that last lap. He is at 61% tire wear right now. So it looks like we're looking at two different strategies right now. Beast is leading on the strategy where you run on the softer tire early on. Iris and Figgy Boy are running on a strategy where we run on a harder compound tire early on. We're also finally starting to see some drivers make pit stops now. That is Richard E. Crook and PM1 Doyle. Those drivers were up near the top 6 before making their stops, so they also must have been on significantly softer tires. Pony has gotten by DMS Hunter in the bottom category. A little bit of engine damage is definitely not going to help Hunter whatsoever, and Beast finally jumps into the pits. So it is Iris who is pulling away from Figgy Boy by a significant amount. Figgy Boy just does not seem to have the straight line speed, which is odd because those Mazdas throughout most of the day have been the slower of the manufacturers here. AFMG Saki has moved himself up into the 3rd position, so now it seems like the Mazdas have absolutely become the dominant car here in this very last stint. Gonna go ahead and take a Twitch mandated ad break here. I'm really gonna try and use these to salvage my voice because I have another race I have to broadcast later tonight in about 8 hours. So I'm really trying to salvage my voice right now and not burn it out. We'll be back momentarily here at Daytona. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Daytona here. We're about 17 minutes in to Stint 12, the final stint of the event. HYR Iris is scooting away. The Mazdas have really turned out to be the dominant car here near the final moments of this race, or the final stints of this race. Their handling advantage means that they can rely on the harder tires and not really be screwed over as much when it comes to a lack of pace, because they already don't have a ridiculous amount of pace to begin with, at least over the course of a full lap, because most of the pace here is made in straights. B-Boy has been losing ground significantly to Iris as this is going on, but we've seen Iris in this position before, back in stint 3, I believe it was. Iris was by far the fastest car, but had 2 self-inflicted spins that took them out of the running. Then in stint 6, a similar thing, although it wasn't self-inflicted that time. That time it was contact with other drivers. The second one heavily damaged the car, which took Iris out of the lead and out of contention for even a podium spot in stint 6. So we know that while Iris is very fast, they're one of the more mistake-prone drivers here in the prototype category. Really putting a lot of strain on that right rear there as Iris. We look at that tire life, they're at 59.9, about hit 60% on that right rear tire. AFZ all carbon jumping into the pits, so was Leachard. So everyone who started on that harder compound tire, not hard, it's actually closer to like a medium tire, but everyone who started on that medium tire now abandoning it for their first pit stop here. Just a reminder, 3 stops are mandatory, but the meta has been 4 stops here in the prototype, the top class. So everyone except top 5 now has gone ahead and made their first stop. I'm going to be interested to see where AMSB stands up in relation to Iris. This really looks like it's just going to be Beast versus Iris, leading on 2 completely different strategies. Alright, Iris coming in the pits this time by. So we turn our focus now to AMS Beast. Where is he going to be in relation to Iris? As we see Beast ducking it down into the bus stop chicane on in his own Mazda. Calco in the Porsche is going to stay out for a little bit longer, it would appear. Now, Calco has not really had the ability to keep up with the Mazdas here in the daytime. But sometimes you gotta try something different. Iris rolling down now to turn 1, but here comes Beast with speed. We'll be able to see Iris on the left side. There you are. Beast overtakes Iris now and begins to scoot away just a bit. Real quickly, as we look at the tires that Beast is on, he's got 20.4% wear right now. I believe that Beast is on a set of medium tires. And I'll be interested to see what Iris is elected to put on at this stage of the event in that number 30 machine. Calco leads for the moment, but you look at that right rear tire on this Porsche, 70%. His ability to navigate this bus stop here is going to be massively compromised. And that is Pop Leopard back there in 11th, who has already gone a lap down in category. DMS Hunter will be the first of the GTOs to pit. And Calco comes into the pits this time by. So AMS Beast will go back to the lead here around the high banks of Daytona. I think almost everyone is actually going to be back ahead of Calco. Calco's just lost too much time earlier, and I just don't have a lot of confidence. If Calco can pull off a top 5 result today, I think that would be something to be impressed with. So Beast holds station over Iris. Beast has a little less fuel in the tank, but Iris has significantly fresher tires right now. I want to take a look at the BFL drivers, though, in the bottom split. BFL Striker pitting out of the lead. This is BFL Ranger. He's got LMP Dragon right behind. But again, I do not know why the GTO drivers are like this. They insist on taking the wrong strategy. So every stint bar one. Oh no, Dragon's pitting. Everyone's pitting. 24 minutes in. So LMP Dragon's pitting as well. So maybe there's still a race on in the bottom split. We'll see as this goes on. Well, our GT field now rolling out of the pit lane. Dragon and McConey are the main two we'll want to keep an eye on going forward here. They are the main duo that we believe are contending for the outright win in category. Pop Leopard, even if it's only for the moment, has briefly back on the lead lap ahead of AMS Beast. But the entire field now has done their first mandatory stop. We're going to take a Twitch mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Daytona. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back here to Daytona. While we were away, you can see here AMS Beast has just put Pop Leopard a lap down again. Second place is HYR Iris. These two are running on alternate strategies right now. Beast ran the very first stint on soft tires. Iris ran the very first stint on the medium tires. Iris does look like they are slowly closing the gap down between themselves and Beast. In the bottom category, though, the leader is BFL Striker, but the next closest BFL Ranger is a long, long way back. Then you'll have LMP Dragon and TBR McConey not too far behind as well. They're not really close enough to be fighting with each other for position, but they are close enough that any sort of issue, any sort of hiccup could put positions up for grabs amongst those GTOs. Here in this midfield fight, Calco has the power to peel away from AFZ all carbon in a straight pretty much at will, but the cornering ability is just so lacking in that Porsche. This car is set up basically to be a straight line monster, which is great if you're running most of the event on soft tires, but soft tires just have not been the way to go. You might be able to run one stint on soft tires if you're willing to go on a 5-stop strategy, but generally speaking, it's better. The 4-stop strategy has been keen throughout basically the entire event. Calco pulling up on HYZ Zellum will have a massive straight line speed advantage, but is not going to push the issue on that 275. I believe that is the Aston ahead. Oh, hard in the wall goes Calco. Still, Calco has good top end. Will he be able to catch Zellum just ahead of him and try to pull alongside Zellum going into turn 1? That's definitely a no, as he's just trying to save the car and not send that 188 into the wall or anything. He does have a 1-lap positive tire delta against everyone else who pitted on the harder compound tires. I look real quickly at HYR Iris, who is right in second position, continuing to slowly close the gap between themselves and Beast. They're at 25% on their right front. I look at Beast, who is leading. He is at 42.7%. So, yeah, right. Wait, did Beast damage his engine? No, I'm guessing I saw that wrong. As we are just about 1/3 of the way through the race, all drivers in the prototype category have abandoned the 3-stop strategy. We saw that number 1, 2, 3 entry, the one that Pop Leopard is in, trying the 3-stop strategy multiple times throughout the first 6 stints. It looks like they have finally aborted it, and everyone else is going for either a 4 or a 5-stop strategy. Those strategies were all over the place early on. We saw one driver legitimately trying to do a 7-stop strategy back in stint 1. Everything is now converged back to either a 4-stop or a 5-stop run here. Calco seems to have gotten by Zella, but will he be able to hold it as they come down to turn 1? He needs to remember to get onto the brakes early enough so he doesn't slide off circuit here. And he'll do just that. As both Calco and Zellum are starting to scoot away from AFZ all carbon a bit. Next driver Calco will have to try and run down will be AFMG Saki. But Mazda's run first and second right now. And then another Mazda in 4. So Mazda absolutely has become the dominant car here at Daytona. When does Beast go ahead and pit out of the top spot 31 minutes in to the final stint? So already a bit more than a quarter of the way through. Alright, Beast pulls up now behind one of the GTOs. Still has not yet pitted. Iris runs in second. Fig, a way distant third. And then Saki in fourth. Calco trying to run Saki down here. In the bottom split, though, it is BFL Ranger trying to keep LMP Dragon behind. Coney has fallen off compared to what Dragon and Ranger are doing here. Still a little bit up in the air. We are not quite sure how many of our GTO drivers are going to commit to the 4-stop and how many are going to try and do the 3-stop. The 3-stop strategy has been, by default, the best strategy to run in this bottom split. But throughout most of the day, yesterday, no one was willing to do that. Saki scoots ahead of Beast. In fact, everyone's going to move ahead of Beast as Beast has now made his first round of stops. It looks like Beast is going to come out on track in about the 7th position here. So, the lead goes back to Iris. As Iris has cleared McConey, is now barreling down on the duo of BFL Ranger and LMP Dragon. I imagine he'll catch Ranger and Dragon in the middle of Speedway turns 3 and 4. Yeah. Just about perfect for Iris to catch him here. He'll be able to use them to help increase his speed via draft, but won't really be held up lap time wise by the duo. Figgy Boy has completely lost pace with Iris. It is absolutely just Iris and Beast doing a little bit of strategy battling between each other. No one else is on their level, it would appear. Calco is starting to run down on Saki, as we are a little bit past a third of the way through the event. So when does Iris go ahead and jump into the pits? Well, Iris's tires are already at the 44.8% mark, so they could probably stay out for another 3 laps or so, but past that, I wouldn't have a lot of confidence. As we see Iris now running up on the leader in the bottom category, BFL Striker, as they come through the bus stop chicane. Power down. Again, catches traffic at basically the perfect time. No issue whatsoever. Iris goes right by. So just about a third of the way through our event here at Daytona, we're going to go ahead and ride on board for a full lap with BFL Striker here. We'll be back momentarily. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back here to Daytona. We're about 38 minutes of the way through our final stint. Pit stops are split into two different categories, two different strategies basically. In the top category, AMS Beast put on soft tires at the very beginning, then threw on what seemed to be mediums. I think Beast is on a 5-stop strategy. Iris is your leader. They have only made 1 stop thus far. We're anticipating them to stop in about another lap or 2. They are on what we believe is a 4-stop strategy. So Beast is going for pace. Iris is minimizing time spent on pit lane here. In the bottom category, BFL Striker is leading by a significant margin over LMP Dragon in the Audi. This is the Audi to be really concerned about for overall win. It's going to be this Audi versus TBR McCones, who is here in this Mercer. But Striker is well on the way to what should be a easy stint win, assuming he does not get caught up in any incidents with the prototypes. And we have seen prototypes crashing into GTOs and taking them out of events thus far. Calco is still in the middle of trying to improve their own run right now. Closing in slowly, bit by bit, on AFMG Saki. That could be, depending on where Beast ends up by the end of this race, that could be a fight for what would be 4th overall. It would be 3rd right now, but again, Beast is on an alternate strategy way ahead of everyone else, so we don't really know where Beast's final position is going to be at the end of this. Speaking of which, Beast has gotten by HYZ Zellum now for the 5th position. Alright, we'll watch the sheer top end capabilities of the Porsche. We'll use this to close in on AFMG Saki. HYR Iris pits out of the lead now. Calco's going to go right around the inside and completely botches the corner and spins in the middle of the bus stop chicane. Needs to get moving before he gets hit. But that will basically derail any run that Calco might have been having here. So Iris pits, Figgy Boy pits. I imagine we'll see Saki pit this lap as well. Indeed we do. So we will see AMSB circle back into the lead of the race now. Iris already rolling down pit lane, coming down to turn number 1. Beast across the start-finish line. Will Beast be able to overtake Iris? Iris still has not come out of pit lane. You can see Iris just up the road. Iris is actually ahead of Beast. Beast has a huge run. He's going to close right underneath the rear wing of Iris as they go through the first infield hairpin. So we have a fight now. For the lead is Iris versus Beast. A pair of Mazdas here at the front. Doesn't seem like Beast has anything for Iris, though. Iris is flying and is now gapping Beast here. Mind you, at this point, they have now made the same number of stops, and Iris is ahead of Beast. Not by a ridiculous amount, but definitely clear of him. So it looks to me that Iris, unless they end up involved in an incident or have some self-inflicted spins, Iris is likely going to be the default winner here in the top category. Meanwhile, farther down, BFL Ranger can look ahead, see that Audi of LMP Dragon. And Audis don't have great top end, but he's going to absolutely murder Ranger in the corners here. Ranger clears Dragon. Oh, Prototype cuts their way through, and that gives the Audi a door, forces the Ranger just a little bit wide, and Ranger slides, and there we go, Dragon back into second. Wow, Dragon missed the corner in the second hairpin there. But now it's a drag race on the way out. But Dragon has the ideal inside line. Ranger has to wrap it the long way around. Can he try and cross the Audi over on exit? No, but he will have the straight line speed to probably get back by him by the time they get to the bus stop chicane. Here comes the run. Boy, the difference in performance between the two through the bus stop chicane is ridiculous. The Audi was about half a second behind and still shoots to the lead over Ranger by the time it came out of the corner there. Still side by side. And it looks like Striker is pitting, Ranger is pitting, but Dragon is going to stay out. And that is a Prototype that's crashed there. Leechard came up on that duo and crashed coming out of the final corner just behind those cars. And that car is destroyed. This basically all but guarantees Dragon is going to walk off with another easy win, as he is probably not going to pit for another several minutes. So Dragon is on the 3-stop strategy, and I think McCone may be on the 3-stop strategy as well. Everyone else on the 4-stop. I do not know why the BFL teams insist on not running the 3-stop strategy. The 3-stop strategy is so massively superior in that bottom split. You have to start taking those runs and have to start taking those chances, even if it seems like mathematically it's not going to work. Every single time the drivers on 3 stops are just destroying the drivers on 4 stops by a ridiculous distance on track. Alright, well, at the front, Iris is still your leader. Beast has started to close the gap back down, though, between themselves and Iris. Oh, has Leechard had another incident? Yeah, Leechard's already had another incident coming right out of the pits. This time it's a spin, he'll be able to continue, but Leechard not having a good time at all in that LMP Esports Mazda. One of the few Mazdas that are not having a good time right now in this split, in this final stint. Dragon pits and McConey pits. Now that's a little bit before the halfway point, so I wonder, are Dragon and McConey not as convinced about their ability to make it on 3 stops? Well, this will now put BFL Striker back in the lead pretty easily. Where is Ranger going to be in relation to that Audi, though, of LMP Dragon? No, here's your answer. Ranger is going to be well clear of Dragon by the end of this. So Ranger opens up a bit of a gap on Dragon now. So maybe Dragon is not going for the 3-stop. 1001, 1002. About 3 seconds between our top 2 and prototypes. I'm anticipating we're going to see Beast pitting. Next few laps here. But Beast is slowly running down on Iris, but it's likely going to have to pit due to fuel issues before he can actually start putting the fight up to Iris. So we are positioning ourselves for an interesting fight late in the event between Iris and Beast. The thing is, though, Beast basically is going to have to make an entire extra stop compared to Iris. Beast has a blue screen of death. 1 second here. Boy. Alright. Coming up on the race's halfway mark here. We're likely going to be seeing Beast come into the pits at the end of this lap. So we are going to go ahead and ride on board with our current race leader, HYR Iris, for a flying circuit around Daytona. We'll be back momentarily. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Daytona. We are just a little bit past the halfway point in this final stint. About 51 minutes left, about 49 to go. AMS Beast has made his third stop, so Iris will now be running unopposed. It is Mazda on alternate strategies at the head of the field, but between the two of them, I feel like Iris has this in the bag pretty much. Piggy Boy runs in third, Saki in fourth, Calco in fifth right now. Sixth is Helm, seventh would be Carbon, but Helm and Carbon are in a bit of a spat of their own right now between these two Astons. One thing I really appreciate is that in the prior event here, well, not prior event, but last year's 24 Hours of Daytona, they used the same car list, but almost everyone was using one or was using two of the same prototypes. We actually have a lot more variety in the prototype class this time by, which makes for a much more interesting, much more engaging race. Same thing when it comes to the pit stop strategy, which are a lot more all over the place this time compared to what we've seen before. Big slide there by the 224 coming out of that second infield hairpin there. Boy. Oh. Still neck and neck between the two of them. They're going to be coming up on the leader in the bottom split. Clear them without too much issue. Still neck and neck again as they go into turn number one. I think Carbon will have it. Goes deep, slides just a little bit to try and keep Zellum behind him. You can hear that right rear tire squealing though. Under pain and agony as he puts the power down to try and get out of the corner. Wide out of the first infield hairpin. But uses that extra track to put the power down and scoot back away from Zellum a bit. Alright, now back onto the straights once again. Carbon still holding station over Zellum. Right now, this is the most active battle on track. Pretty much every other position on circuit has been settled some time ago. Although, Calco is starting to close back in on Saki, and Figgy Boy is actually here with Beast. But mind you, these two are on alternate strats right now. Beast is not really fighting with Fig for a position. Calco's going to wrap it around the outside to get by Saki. So for the moment, put Calco back up into the fourth spot. But again, that Porsche just has not had the handling it needs. As the meta has turned on to running harder and harder tires, the Porsche is just less and less capable of making those harder tires work. The Porsche basically needs softer rubber, but not worth all that extra time spent in the pits. So now Zellum has gotten by Carbon. Coming up on Pop Leopard is this duo. Leopard running about 2 laps down at this stage. Has not been a great time for him. Well, 1 lap down at this stage within category. Not been a great time for Leopard, just struggling. And Carbon, I'm going to say screw this, he jumps into the pits. But Zellum is going to stay out just a little bit longer here. So now you have to wonder about Iris. When is Iris, your overall race leader right now, going to make a stop? You're only at 50.8% on that right rear. They could probably stay out here for another lap. I don't know about 2 laps, but probably another lap without too much issue. Again, we anticipate that Iris is going for the 4-stop strategy. So they'll pit now and then would have 1 more stop afterwards. Of course, the question is going to be, where would AMSB be in relation to Iris? As Beast is trying to shrug off Figgy Boy, but Figgy Boy in that Mercedes has just been less and less of a threat as this is going on. He's being run down on by Calco and Saki all over again. Well, Calco's caught Figgy Boy again. Thing is, they got Saki just behind as well. So if something goes wrong, Saki can capitalize and maybe move back into the top 3 positions. Mazda's run, 1st, 2nd, and 5th. They have a Mercedes in 3rd and a Porsche in 4th right now. BFL Striker now pitting out of the lead in the bottom category. And with 41 minutes left, that means that Striker is definitely locking in to a 4-stop strategy, but we don't know about the other drivers in the GTO class. We'll be keeping an eye on them. Boy, Saki very nearly lost control there. Trying to get by the Coney there. Calco not quite close enough to really barrel down on Figgy Boy here. Iris has stayed out for a little bit longer than anticipated, interestingly enough. Iris's tires are at 60% wear exactly now. With a little less than 4% in the tank, they'll have to come at the end of this lap. Alright. Calco really sliding the rear of that Porsche around, coming back onto the oval section. But he should be close enough to get a draft off of Figgy Boy here. Iris is finally jumping into the pit, so we will likely see AMS Beast end up either taking the lead or being just a little bit behind Iris. My bet, though, is that Iris is going to be maintaining his lead position. Calco had an absolutely horrible run through the bus stop chicane again. Figgy Boy does nothing and just automatically basically wins. Figgy Boy is pitting this time. Saki's pitting this time. Calco's going to stay out just a little bit longer. Where is Beast going to be in relation to Iris? Beast coming out of turn 1, but Iris is already accelerating down. So I think this pretty much settles it. Iris is the faster driver between himself and Beast. Beast trying to make this 5-stop strategy work. I just do not think it's going to play out for him. Beast probably has the pace for a top 3 result, but he should have committed to the 4-stop strategy if he wanted anything close to a chance of fighting with Iris here. Iris is just far and away in a zone of his own tonight. As we have now eclipsed an hour of running here. So we'll be done in about 38 minutes. Figgy Boy, Saki, and Zellum all in the pits right now. Fig will be able to maintain his advantage over Saki, I would imagine, without too much issue here. Yep. As Leechard there, who is slow. Has he been involved in another incident? No, but he has cooked that right rear tire. Leechard's been involved in at least 2 incidents, and there may have been a third one that I suspect he was involved in that we did not catch on stream. In the bottom category, BFL Ranger is your leader right now. Ranger has only 7% still in the tank. It's still iffy if he's going to try and make it a 3-stop or 4-stop. LMP Dragon runs quite a ways behind. With a lot more fuel, I think Dragon is definitely locking in on a 3-stop strategy. Calco and Doyle both in the pits now, so everyone in the prototypes have made their mandatory 3 stops. Still not sure what the strat's going to be here for Dragon. Ranger, I imagine, is going to have to pit sooner rather than later. Interestingly enough, BFL Striker is actually running down on Dragon, even though Striker has basically made an entire extra stop. So, while I think it's unlikely, there's an outside chance that Striker, even with an extra pit stop, might be able to catch Dragon for the lead here. We will try to keep an eye on that as this continues. Most of the prototypes fights have pretty much dissolved. Outside of this here, Calco has gotten back in front of Saki for the moment for the third position. Will Calco remember a break early enough to not go off circuit? He'll remember this time. As Saki now moves back by Figgy Boy. And once again, Mazda's run first, second, and fourth. There is a distinct possibility we could have a Mazda podium lockout for this final stint here. Here's our top three in GTO. You see Striker has just outran LMP Dragon in a straight line. Dragon has the good run out. The Merker's back up to a second position right now. But again, Striker having outran Dragon is really the impressive bit. But I think Dragon is committing to the three-stop strategy. If Dragon can stay close enough to Striker, they can get lots of draft off of him. I think the Audi is still in it, but this may not be as much of a walk-off for Dragon as it had been in the earlier stints. Ooh, that's Figgy Boy who's really got held up there. Gonna open the gap, and now he gets hit from behind by Saki, gets shunted offline. The Audi is still right there trying to fight for positions as well. The Audi is actually ahead of Striker once more, but now Striker with the superior speed in that non-all-wheel drive machine should be able to clear the Audi in a straight without too much issue, I'd imagine. Yep, easy overtake around the outside. Striker goes back up into the lead. But Dragon in that Audi is so much better through anything even remotely resembling a braking zone. He's immediately right on the rear wing of that Texaco-sponsored Merker all over again. We're going to go ahead and ride on board for a lap with LMP Dragon here at Daytona. 32 minutes to go. We'll be back shortly here. Well, as you can see, folks, Striker is really starting to open the gap. There's a distinct possibility we may see a driver on a 4-stop strategy win in the bottom split. AMS Beast paying out of second position, but at this stage is basically all but guaranteed that Iris is going to win in prototypes for this final stint unless they end up involved in an accident late. Beast, while they have had speed, they have elected to run a strategy that's just not playing out for them in the slightest. Still, I do think Beast is going to be in a position to probably take home a second place result. Most of the battles on track seem to have pretty much dissolved at this stage of the race outside of this one. Carbon and Zellum have gone back and forth multiple times. A pair of Astons here, and they can't seem to get away from each other. Even when they have pit on off-sequence laps, they're still end up right on top of each other once they both complete their stops. Alright, well, Carbon's got Zellum's draft here, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to go for a big dive into the bus stop chicane. So as long as Zellum doesn't make a mistake through here, I think the big move we can see between this duo might come on the run up to turn 1. Not a great exit by Zellum. Carbon is still right there. He's got a draft. I don't know if he'll be close enough to try and go side by side into 1, though. Looks to the outside. Still looking to the outside. And goes deep in, commits, and gets it. Around the outside goes Carbon, but he slides wide on corner exit. Zellum's coming back, side by side between the two Astons. Still neck and neck. The Carbon has the inside line. Going into the first hairpin. Zellum's going to run the wider outside line. Giving a little more time to put the power down, but Carbon's got by Zellum. Carbon's wide again. Now Zellum pulls up right back behind. Now back onto the oval. This time, though, Carbon went wide, trying to maximize the amount of track he was running over so he could get more grip, but Zellum was able to get more grip on the inside line, and Zellum back in front of Carbon. Carbon looking the outside, Zellum defending the inside as they blitz by one of the GTO category cars. Not a great exit for Zellum. Carbon's getting another good run. In fact, this one's likely going to be better than what he had last lap. 224 is going to spin! Somehow he keeps the car roughly pointing in the same direction. That thing was completely out of control. But somehow he keeps it under him. Now the gap's opened up, and he's going to have to dig deep to try and close back in on Zellum. And not too far behind is this Mazda PM1 Joyle 248. This was the entry that didn't really put themselves on the podium in the first 5 stints, and then out of nowhere, one stint 6. Richard E. Crook is a very distant 9th. Leechard about to go a second lap down in 10th. Pop Leopard has already gone a second lap down. BFL Striker is your leader on a 4-stop strategy right now, well clear of BFL Ranger and LMP Dragon. Ranger, I am shocked, has not made their final stop yet. Oh, they have made their final stop, never mind. And Dragon has also made his final stop. Striker, though, running away from the field with no issue, despite having made an entire extra pit stop. So we might finally see one of the BFL entries pull off a win on a 4-stop strategy. The strategy has not delivered any results in the earlier stints, but it looks like it's finally coming into its own. Well, this duo of Zellum and Carbon have now been overtaken by Doyle. So yeah, Mazda's continuing to come in on their own. Mazda's run 1st, 2nd, 5th, and 6th now. So 4 of our top 6 positions are all occupied by Mazdas at this stage of the event. Gap between Iris and Beast is about 30 seconds right now, so even if something happens to Iris that they underfill and need to make an extra stop, I think Iris is still going to win this over Beast, as he seems to have a significant advantage in pace. "23 minutes left. If you stay out for another lap or two and then pit, you could probably throw on medium tires and go to the end if you're in this top category. That's what we are anticipating Iris is going to be doing here at the head of the field. Likely won't pit this lap, but will pit the lap after this one. For AMS Beast, I imagine that they may be considering staying on these tires a little bit longer so they can jump onto soft tires for the final sprint to the end. Calco back here in 3rd position on this Porsche will also likely have to pit in about 2 laps. He is finally pulling away from Figgy Boy. Fig started up near the front, but has just not had any pace, especially not in a straight line. And that engine damage obviously has not helped. I imagine he'll be pitting at the end of this lap if he thinks he can get away with it. This is AFMG Saki, who's been hanging around the top 5 most of the time. Probably will pit the lap after this one. And then it's a jump back to Doyle, who has just recently broke into 6th position. He'll definitely be able to stay out for a little bit longer. Not long enough to, maybe throw on soft slate, but he can probably stay out for another lap or 2 without issue. So Zellum and Carbon finally have spread out as Carbon has gone ahead and committed to making his final stop a little bit earlier than Zellum, hoping that rain and cleaner air will get him better position here. Trying to go the long way around the Audis. This is never going to feel very good. just because the Audi is so better on initial acceleration. So even if you have a good run out, the Audi is still going to be alongside you for a lot longer than you'll want. The wildest part, this man here, BFL Striker, on track to bring home a win on what had been a limp wrist 4-stop strategy. Sheer pace has been dominating by Striker today. And it looks like it might be a BFL 1-2 here. And the BFL teams are running 2 different cars as well. Alright, that's Iris pitting out of the lead. So now the question is, of course, how close is Beast going to be to Iris? Again, we're anticipating that Beast will make a 5th stop in about 6-7 minutes. Yeah, about 6-7 minutes. And we'll throw on softs with a tinier fuel load. But I don't see any way that he'll be able to run down Iris. Although Beast is well clear of Iris right now. So for the first time in a while, the gap is massively going to open up in favor of Beast. Figgy Boy's pitting, Saki's pitting, Zellam's pitting. So in the fight between Zellam and Carbon, let's take a look and see where they're going to be in relation to each other. Calco and Joyo look like they'll be the last drivers to make their 4th stop. Will be their final stop as well. Beast, we know, is going to be leading for a bit longer. We anticipate he'll be jumping onto soft tires with about 13 minutes left here. Well, Zellam is apparently already rolling out of pit lane. Zellam might have the advantage here. Carbon is not actually closed on Zellam by any significant margin. So I think that battle has been decided, and Beast is coming into the pits now. So he is pitting a lot earlier than I anticipated. I thought he would stay out for a bit longer, but no. Beast says, screw this, I'll jump onto the medium tires and just be confident that they won't burn up. Iris easily shoots back to the lead. Calco coming into the pits now. And the last driver in the top category who still has yet to make their final stop is PM1 Joyle. And they're coming this time as well. So with about 17.5 minutes left, these drivers that have just pitted, they can throw on medium tires, have no issue about tire fall off to the end, obviously. But the gap between Iris and Beast is absolutely gigantic. And from him to literally anyone else is even bigger. So Iris on track for a fantastic win. Starting to close in on Leacher to put him another lap down. Richard E. Crook still in the lead lap though. We are going to go ahead and take a ad break. This will be the last ad break. When we come back, we will be here to the checkered flag as we ride on board with Iris for what may be the final time today for TORA's 24 Hours of Daytona Sea Lobby. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Daytona. A little less than 15 minutes to go as Iris is fair cruising away from the rest of the field. Second place is easily going to be Beast. Unless Calco has an incident, it looks like they're going to wrap up third. Fourth place looks like it's going to go to Figgy Boy, although Doyle is just close enough that Figgy ends up being held up by traffic by a significant amount that we might end up with a fight for fourth. Sixth place is Saki. Saki could try and do something to Doyle, but Doyle pitted a little bit later than Saki here, so Doyle should have a slight tire advantage. These are a pair of Mazdas going at it right now. And a little bit farther back is the duo of Carbon and Zellum. Carbon had actually gotten away from Zellum a bit, but now Zellum is running back down, so this duo back at it. These two have been going back and forth in this mad fight throughout most of the run today. Here we are, side by side again. The 275 is wide. Oh, he was able to put the power down though. The Aston painted Aston. They're both Astons, but the one that's actually painted in proper Aston colors seemed to struggle just a bit coming out. Gets right underneath the rear wing of the 275. Stryker is making a fifth pit stop, and BFL Ranger is making a fourth pit stop late. What's the reasoning here? Well, the thing is, this all of a sudden puts Dragon back in race-winning position. A reminder, Dragon is still locked into this three-stop strategy. So Stryker now runs behind Dragon, so all of a sudden we have a different fight to focus on. Stryker has to try and run down Dragon with only about 12.5 minutes left. Why did they make... It didn't look like Stryker needed to make another stop, but now all of a sudden he's behind Dragon. So Dragon might be on track to win, but it's not over. If Stryker could run Dragon down and get by him on a 5-stop strategy, that would be insane. It would be incredible. Which is part of the reason why I don't think it will happen. But Dragon has shown some incredible ability to manage the tires, and Stryker has shown some incredible pace over the course of the event today. So all of a sudden there is a fight for the win in the bottom category. We had fights for the lead in the bottom category early on in some of the prior stints that we covered, but every time we came to the end, it was pretty much a walk-off. All of a sudden, at the very end, the GTO class is trying to give us something to keep an eye on. $1,001, $1,002. There's about 3 seconds between the duo right now. And again, Stryker has fresher tires and has a greater top end. Especially in turn 1, he'll be able to take a lot of speed into the corners, but Dragon's going to be beating him out of the corners. The thing is, if Dragon gets Stryker back in his draft, I think it's over. I think there's no way that Dragon can beat Stryker here unless their race ends in the infield. Less than 11 minutes left now. Carbon and Zellum still going back and forth for their fight for 7th and 8th, but this one, this fight for the lead here in GTO, is the one to keep an eye on. Stryker has made 5 pit stops over the course of the day. Throughout the stints, we've been saying the 4-stop strategies just have not had anything in the bottom category. The 3 stops have been the way to go, but now Stryker's about to say, okay, well, if 4 stops won't work, I can make a 5-stop work. And he is running down on Dragon. Prototype's blitzing by there around the outside. That is Figgy Boy and Doyle. And yeah, Stryker's just about to catch LMP Dragon's draft here. Not a great exit there by the Audi. There goes Saki. Yeah, Stryker is caught. Dragon's Draft. The fight for the win is on. Could Stryker make the impossible happen and make a victory happen on a 5-stop strategy? AFC All Carbon is pitting farther back. Carbon's had to make another stop, so that will break up their fight. And Stryker has gone around the outside of Dragon for the lead here. Here comes Zellum up behind this duo now. Dragon does not seem to have it. Dragon's pace is not there. I think that might be it. Stryker might just be able to pull off a win on this wild 5-stop strategy. Carbon with that 5th pit stop is now a lap down, so only our top 7 drivers are on the lead lap at this stage. Second place is about 30 seconds or so behind Iris, maybe a little less, maybe closer to 25 now. Calco is about half a lap down to the leader. Figgy Boy is about, what, 2/3 of a lap down to the leader. PM1 Doyle right here behind Figgy Boy, so another fight to keep an eye on. And then Saki's just a little bit behind them. Reminder, of these 3, Doyle was the last one to pit, so he's going to have a slight tire advantage to the end here. He should not have to worry about tire fall off whatsoever. Mazda versus Mercedes in this fight for 4th. And while Mazda has been the defining manufacturer in the prototype category for this final stint, with a little bit of contact, Doyle is shipped off the ideal line there, shipped pretty much off circuit there. While Mazda's been the defining manufacturer in the prototypes at top level here in C Lobby, the Porsche of Calco is going to upset their day, and there is a possibility we may see the Mercedes of Figgy try to do something to upset things as well. Mazda's run 1st, 2nd, 5th, and 6th right now. Here we are, contact, and again, Doyle being shipped offline. This time not as aggressively, though, so they're still side by side out of turn 1, and Doyle's by. Doyle clears Figgy Boy. Now, Fig's still right there, but the big thing is that Mercedes in this stint has not really shown that sheer straight line speed that we saw from it in the earlier stints. A little less than 6 minutes left. Doyle has gotten by Figgy Boy. Fig is still within the draft of that Mazda, but the straight line speed is not there, and the Mercedes has had nothing on handling compared to the Mazdas either in this stint. But again, earlier stints, they were fine. It's just not been the case here recently. So now you have to wonder, is Saki going to have a run on Fig near the very end here? I look at Figgy Boy. His tires are at 42.8%. I look at Saki just a little bit behind. His tires are at 44.3%. So Fig's doing a little bit better on tire management right now. Stryker has completely left Dragon in the dust. Stryker is legitimately going to try and win on a 5-stop strategy. As long as he doesn't get wrecked by a prototype, he's going to make it happen here. 5 minutes to go. Not the greatest traffic management there by Figgy Boy, and it's brought Saki back into drafting range. Trying to run a really tight line and cut down below a GTO car that was not expecting him there. Definitely held Figgy Boy up a bit. Saki's got to run. Less than 4 minutes to go now. Here comes that dive. Saki pulls up right behind Fig. Goes to tail now. Thing is, Doyle has fallen back into the grasp of Figgy Boy as well. Not a great run through that hairpin here. Oh, big twitch and slide by Saki! And now this trio is all going to be nose to tail as they go through here. Less than 3 minutes to go. Doyle's opens up just a little bit of a gap on the Mercedes this time. Figgy trying to maintain a top 5 result. Saki is still right there. 697 drops tires into the dirt. Saki is still right behind. Is the Mazda, that AFMG Mazda, going to try and wrap it around the outside going to turn 1. We've seen them make that move several times before to incredible effect. Not this time. You're going to have this entire lap to put down, and then they'll get about most of the way through the infield on one more lap afterwards before coming to a stop. 120 seconds left. Not really any other battles of note. It's just this trio here of Doyle, Figgy, and Saki going back and forth for the 4th, 5th, and 6th positions. I think Doyle has 4th, all but in the bag. Question is, what can Saki do to Figgy Boy? Out of the infield and now back onto the banked corners for what will likely be the final time. Saki gets so close under braking, but... Oh, and Boy is wide. Figgy Boy is wide. Here comes Saki to the inside. Side by side for 5th position. Saki has the ideal inside line and will complete the overtake on the Mercedes. Saki drops out of the top 5. And now here comes Figgy Boy back on the outside. Neck and neck again. Coming across the start-finish line. Dead heat. How deep does Figgy Boy go into it? Oh, they're still side by side on the way out, but that Mercedes is sliding wide. Saki slides wide on exit. Very nearly loses it right in front of the Mercedes. 30 seconds left. Saki tries to get right in there. He hits AFMG from behind, but Saki's able to keep the car under him. This will let Doyle basically lock up 4th. He gets to open up a gap and breathe a little bit easier now. We'll have to deal with just a little bit of traffic just ahead as well. 15 seconds left to go through the final hairpin in the infield. They've got one more corner left, but I think Saki is gonna get him. 2 seconds, 1 second, time's up, over, plow. And your winner for Stint 1 is going to be HYR Iris. Oh, awful camera angle. Second place will be AMS Beast. Third will go to Calco in the Porsche, another podium for Calco. 4th will go to PM1 Doyle. 5th will go to AFMG Saki. 6th will go to Figgy Boy. 7th will go to HYZ Zellum. 8th will go to AFZ All Carbon. 9th will go to Richard E. Cup. 10th will go to Leechard. 11th will go to Pop Leopard. And DMSI will be the only prototype to not finish in the bottom category. BFL Striker, they said, and by they I mean me, said 4-stop strategies are not going to work. 4-stop strategies are no good in the bottom category. And Stryker heard that and said, bet, and has gone ahead and committed to a 5-stop strategy and will win by a healthy margin over LMP Dragon in the Audi. Third place will go to BFL Ranger. Then fourth will go to DMS Hunter. And fifth and last of the runners will go to TBR McCone. So we're going to go ahead and take a Twitch mandated ad break. And when we come back, we're going to try and get some post-stint interviews with some of our top finishers here. All right, coming to the party right now is HYR Iris. Iris, go ahead, include your audio in the Xbox party. It has been a wild time, but you have finally brought home a Stint victory. What do you have to, well, you may have brought one home at night and I didn't catch it, but what do you have to say about your run out there, Iris? Iris, are you able to hear me? Hey, Striker or Dragon, are you two able to hear me? All right, I'll come back to Iris then. Here, I'll go ahead and I'll start with LMP Dragon in this case. Dragon, go ahead, include your audio. You ran the 3-stop strategy. That strategy has been the dominant strategy most of the day, but you came up short. What happened? Why were you not able to make this 3-stop strategy the winning strategy today? All right, so now I have to ask Dragon, what other stuff can we anticipate to see you in over the next few weeks or months? All right, well, I hope you have a fantastic time. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. It's been a fantastic showing for you. But someone who's had arguably even more fantastic showing is BFL Striker. Striker, go ahead and include your audio in the Xbox party. I said all the way through the 4-stop strategy was not going to work in the GTO category. Seems like you guys heard and said, all right, bet, we'll one-up that. The 5-stop strategy, and you won by a massive margin. Striker, what in the world possessed you guys to commit to a 5-stop strategy? Oh boy, did you ever send it and hope me? I honestly, again, I didn't get a stream since 7-Eleven, so I don't know what the racing was like there, but over the first half of the event, I was very much thinking, man, 3-stop strategies are auto wins. I don't know why everyone isn't doing that, but finally, an alternate strategy, not just an alternate strategy for kicks, an alternate strategy that actually worked. I'm really, I cannot stress enough how, like, impressive that was. With about 15 minutes to go, I realized, oh my goodness, he's gonna do it. He's actually gonna bloody do it. I can't believe, like, I am really shocked you were able to pull that off. I'm really baffled that you were able to make that work. All right, so now with the event over, I asked what I normally ask after these enduros. What other events will we likely see you in over the next few weeks or months? All right, well, we'll be looking forward to seeing you at Sebring then. Striker Dragon, thanks for putting on a fantastic show, you two. And once again, I'm going to try and see if Iris, are you able to hear me? Okay. Iris, you might want to try leaving the Xbox party and then jumping in. Alright, we'll see if this works for them. Alright, Iris, are you able to hear me? Alright, it is still dead silent from you right now. Can hear, no input. Alright, understood. Then I'll keep this relatively short, sweet, and to the point. Fantastic drive out there. Finally win by a dominant margin. Do you have anything you want to say about that final stint today? I'll just read off what you put in the text chat.
Mojang just bust.
I hate when I try to pull up Discord server and pulls up the wrong thing. Yeah, I know this is a fair point. We saw in one of the earlier stints you had 2 self-inflicted spins. So Iris says, quote, I didn't get shoved off nor spin on my own accord. It's a win, XD. And yeah, we saw in one of the earlier stints, Iris, you had 2 self-inflicted spins that dropped you to second. And then in another stint, stint 6, you had 2 completely different accidents caused by other drivers, which dropped you to 4th. So yeah, it's finally nice to see you avoid catastrophe. I do want to ask, Iris, do you think there's a likelihood we will see... Oh, yeah. The instant you missed was me getting punted by a car rejoining the track. That explains it. So that would explain a lot. Yeah. I do want to ask, Iris, is there a likelihood that we will see you at TORA's Sebring 12 Hours in March? All right. Iris says they will be there. Unless you have anything else to say, we'll go ahead and let you go, and that will probably wrap up our broadcast here at Daytona. 12... Yeah, I gotta sleep. It's 2 a.m. Yes, please, go sleep. Oh, my goodness. But with that in mind, that will wrap up our broadcast here at Daytona, and TORA's 24 Hours Daytona has concluded. But don't you worry. We will eventually be back for more stuff. A little bit later today, I'll be covering the 3rd race in the FEC IROC Championship. But until then, I've been your host for today's broadcast, Insane Layer 13. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Farewell and goodbye, everyone.